There is a secret that few people truly understand. A secret so powerful that it can transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. And that secret is this: being alone is not a weakness, it is a power. Look around you. The greatest minds, the most influential leaders, the pioneers of history, each of them discovered something profound. Before they changed the world, they had to stand alone. Before they found their voice, they had to sit in silence. Before they influenced nations, they had to master themselves. The problem today is that too many people are afraid to be alone. They fear the quiet. They avoid solitude. They crave noise, distractions, validation from others. They believe that being alone means being abandoned, being unwanted, being forgotten. But I am here to tell you today, being alone is not rejection, it is refinement. It is in solitude that your mind sharpens. It is in isolation that your vision becomes clear. It is when the noise of the world fades that the voice inside you gets louder. And it is in that stillness that true power is born. Look at the eagle. It does not fly in flocks like the pigeons. It soars alone. And because it soars alone, it sees what others cannot see. It reaches heights that others cannot reach. It moves with precision, focus, and strength. This is the nature of true greatness. It is not found in the crowd. It is found in the quiet places where few dare to go. History is filled with stories of those who embraced the power of being alone. Moses was alone when he received divine instruction. Jesus was alone in the wilderness before he began his ministry. Mandela was alone in a prison cell before he became the voice of a nation. Every great leader, every great thinker, every great innovator first had to master the power of solitude. So I challenge you today, stop running from being alone. Stop seeing it as a punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Use that time to grow. Use that space to build your mind, to strengthen your spirit, to refine your vision. Because when you emerge from that place, you will not come out weak. You will come out unstoppable. Being alone is not a curse. It is a calling. It is an invitation to develop, to discover, to dominate. And when you learn to embrace it, when you learn to master it, when you learn to walk in it with confidence, the world will have no choice but to recognize the power that is within you. Being alone is not a weakness. It is a power. True strength is developed in solitude, not in constant company. Greatness is birthed in isolation. The most influential leaders, thinkers, and pioneers first mastered themselves in solitude before impacting the world. Silence sharpens vision and focus. When distractions fade, clarity, purpose, and creativity emerge. Nature teaches the power of solitude. The eagle soars alone, seeing and reaching heights that others cannot. History proves the power of solitude. Leaders like Moses, Jesus, and Mandela had to embrace solitude before stepping into greatness. Solitude is preparation, not punishment. Instead of fearing being alone, one should use it as a time for growth, self-discovery, and empowerment. Many people believe that being alone is a sign of weakness, a condition to be avoided, a state of isolation that leaves a person vulnerable. But the truth is, being alone is not a weakness, it is a power. It is in solitude that true strength is developed, where the mind is sharpened, where the soul is refined, and where purpose is discovered. In a world that constantly demands connection, approval, and external validation, many have forgotten the power that exists in being alone. People are so accustomed to the noise of society, the opinions of others, and the expectations placed upon them that they never take the time to step away and listen to their own thoughts. They never allow themselves to sit in silence long enough to hear the voice within. But the reality is, Until a person learns to stand alone, it is not about isolation from the world in a negative sense. It is about stepping away to build something greater within yourself. It is in moments of solitude that the greatest ideas are born. It is in the quiet spaces that the deepest revelations take place. When a person is alone, they are free from distractions. They are free from the expectations of others. They have the space to reflect, to question, to refine their thoughts, and to grow into the person they were created to be. Consider the process of a diamond being formed. A diamond does not emerge in a crowded place under the watchful eyes of many. It is shaped deep within the earth, under intense pressure, hidden away from sight. Only after enduring this process does it come forth in brilliance. The same is true for individuals who embrace solitude. When a person learns to be alone and use that time wisely, they develop an inner strength that cannot be shaken by the opinions of others. They become confident, resilient, and powerful. Many of the greatest leaders in history had to first embrace solitude before stepping into their destiny. They had to withdraw from the noise of the world, to listen, to learn, and to prepare for the greatness ahead of them. They were not afraid to be different. They were not afraid to walk alone if it meant discovering a greater truth. The world may try to convince you that being alone means being weak, but the opposite is true. Those who master the power of solitude develop a strength that others cannot understand. They are not swayed by the crowd. They are not easily shaken by criticism. They do not rely on the approval of people because they have built an unshakable foundation within themselves. So if you ever find yourself alone, do not see it as a loss. See it as an opportunity. Use that time to strengthen your mind, to grow your vision, to build your confidence. Because when you learn to embrace solitude, you unlock a power that sets you apart and prepares you for greatness. Greatness is never an accident, nor is it something that comes from the noise and distractions of the crowd. It is birthed in isolation, in the quiet moments, where a person is left with nothing but their thoughts, their vision, and their purpose. If you study the lives of the most influential people in history, leaders, inventors, thinkers, and revolutionaries, you will find a common pattern. Before they changed the world, they first had to step away from it. The world is filled with people who blend in, who move with the crowd, who never take the time to separate themselves long enough to cultivate something extraordinary within. But those who achieve greatness do the opposite. They understand that in order to create something new, they must detach from the familiar. They know that their deepest insights, their most powerful revelations, and their strongest convictions are forged in solitude. Look at Moses. Before leading a nation to freedom, he spent years in the wilderness. Look at Jesus. Before stepping into his divine mission, he spent 40 days alone in the desert. Look at Nelson Mandela. Before he could unite a divided nation, he endured years of solitude in prison, refining his vision. These men were not weakened by their time alone. They were strengthened by it. They emerged from their solitude not as ordinary individuals, but as forces that reshaped history. The problem today is that people fear being alone. They equate solitude with insignificance, thinking that if they are not constantly surrounded by others, they have lost their value. But in reality, solitude is where true value is cultivated. A leader is not made in the noise of the crowd, but in the discipline of isolation. A visionary is not formed in the applause of people, but in the quiet moments of deep thought. Nature itself teaches us this principle. The eagle, the most majestic of birds, does not fly in flocks like pigeons. It soars alone. It rises above the storms. It sees farther than any other bird. Why? Because it was designed for a higher purpose. In the same way, Those destined for greatness cannot afford to remain in the comfort of the crowd. They must embrace solitude to discover the strength within. When a person is alone, they are forced to face themselves. They must confront their fears, their weaknesses, their dreams, and their potential. It is in this place that character is developed, resilience is built, and vision is sharpened. If a person never allows themselves to go through this process, they will always be dependent on external validation, never truly discovering the depth of their own power. So if you feel like you are walking alone, do not be discouraged. It is a sign that you are being prepared for something greater. It is a season of refinement, a time to grow, a time to prepare for the impact you are destined to make. Greatness is never found in comfort. It is found in the courage to embrace solitude and emerge stronger than before. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless opinions, clarity is a rare and powerful asset. Many people struggle to find direction in life, not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they are surrounded by too much noise. The mind cannot function at its highest capacity when it is constantly bombarded with external influences. True focus, deep insight, and sharp vision are only developed in solitude. When the noise fades, the mind awakens and clarity emerges. One of the greatest challenges people face today is the inability to sit in silence. From the moment they wake up, they are surrounded by social media, news, messages, and conversations. They are continuously absorbing other people's thoughts, opinions, and expectations. As a result, their own inner voice becomes drowned out. They struggle to hear their own thoughts and they lose sight of their own purpose. But when a person steps away from the distractions and embraces moments of solitude, something powerful happens. The vision becomes sharper and their focus intensifies. Consider an archer preparing to release an arrow. If the archer is surrounded by distractions, noise, and movement, their aim will be unstable and they will miss the target. But if they take a deep breath, find stillness, and block out everything else, their focus sharpens and they hit the mark with precision. The same principle applies to life. A scattered mind leads to a scattered life, but a focused mind leads to an unstoppable force. Great leaders, inventors, and visionaries understood this truth. Before making history, they withdrew into solitude. They stepped away from distractions to gain clarity on their purpose. They understood that in the stillness, ideas take form, strategies become clear, and confidence is built. Many people fail to reach their potential, not because they are not capable, but because they never take the time to truly focus. They allow themselves to be pulled in multiple directions, never giving their full energy to one clear goal. But those who master the power of solitude and silence develop an intense level of focus that allows them to achieve what others cannot. The ability to be alone with one's thoughts is not a weakness. It is a superpower. It allows a person to analyze their decisions, refine their goals, and strengthen their mindset. It is in these quiet moments that the greatest breakthroughs happen. The distractions of the world are designed to keep people unfocused, uncertain, and constantly seeking external validation. But when a person takes control of their environment and intentionally creates moments of solitude, they unlock a level of mental clarity that sets them apart. The question is, are you willing to step away from the noise? Are you willing to embrace silence so that you can hear what truly matters? Because when you do, you will begin to see life differently. Your vision will become clear, your focus will sharpen, and your ability to achieve greatness will rise to a whole new level. Nature is full of wisdom, and one of its greatest lessons is the power of solitude. Among all the creatures of the sky, the eagle stands as a symbol of strength, vision, and excellence. But what makes the eagle different from other birds? It does not fly in flocks like pigeons. It does not seek company for survival. It soars alone. And in doing so, it reaches heights that others cannot. The eagle's solitary nature is not a weakness. It is the very thing that makes it powerful. It does not need the validation of other birds. It does not rely on the crowd for direction. It rises above storms while others seek shelter. This is a profound lesson. Those who desire to achieve greatness must learn to embrace solitude. They must be willing to separate themselves from the distractions, the noise, and the limitations of the crowd. Pigeons move in flocks because they are dependent on one another for safety. They are easily frightened and quick to follow whatever direction the majority takes. They are content with small distances and low heights, but the eagle is different. It does not waste its energy flying in circles with the masses. It flies with purpose, with precision, and with focus. It does not waste time where it does not belong. Many people in life choose to live like pigeons. They fear being alone, so they surround themselves with noise, with approval-seeking behaviors, with meaningless activities. They stay within the safety of the crowd, never venturing beyond their comfort zone. They allow the opinions of others to dictate their direction. But those who desire to rise, to achieve, to make a difference must embrace the way of the eagle. They must be willing to stand alone if necessary, to separate themselves from mediocrity, and to pursue a higher purpose. The eagle's vision is another remarkable characteristic. While other birds see only what is in front of them, the eagle can spot its prey from miles away. It has an ability to focus that is unmatched. This is what happens when a person learns to embrace solitude. Their vision sharpens. They begin to see possibilities that others cannot. They stop being distracted by the trivial things that consume the minds of the masses. They develop a sense of purpose so strong that nothing can pull them off course. Storms do not scare the eagle. When other birds hide, the eagle flies higher, using the wind to propel itself even further. This is what happens to those who understand the power of solitude. Challenges do not break them, they strengthen them. Difficulties do not discourage them, they elevate them. They learn to rise above the chaos, using adversity as a tool for greater success. The lesson from nature is clear. If you want to be average, stay with the crowd. If you want to be exceptional, learn to embrace solitude. Learn to fly like the eagle, and you will reach heights that others can only dream of. History is filled with the stories of great men and women who changed the world, but one common thread connects them all. They first had to embrace solitude. Before they stepped into their destiny, before they became leaders, innovators, and revolutionaries, they spent time alone. This was not a coincidence. It was a necessary process of preparation. Solitude became the birthplace of their strength, their wisdom, and their transformation. Moses did not receive his calling in the midst of a crowd. He was alone in the wilderness when he encountered the burning bush and received his divine purpose. Before he could lead millions, he had to spend years in solitude, learning, growing, and developing the strength to carry out his mission. It was in the quiet, away from distractions, that he became the leader who would liberate an entire nation. Jesus, too, understood the power of solitude. Before he began his ministry, he withdrew into the wilderness for 40 days. It was in this place of isolation that he faced trials, built spiritual strength, and prepared for the great mission ahead. Throughout his life, he often withdrew from the crowds to pray, reflect, and realign himself with his purpose. This was not a weakness, it was a source of power. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, cut off from the world, isolated from his people. Many would have seen this as the end of his influence. But it was in those years of solitude that he developed the wisdom, patience, and vision that would later make him one of the greatest leaders of all time. When he emerged, he was not bitter, he was not broken, he was stronger than ever, ready to lead a divided nation into unity. These examples and many more throughout history prove a powerful truth. Solitude is not a place of punishment, but a place of preparation. It is in solitude that great leaders are formed. It is in silence that their minds are sharpened. It is in stillness that their spirits are strengthened. Those who run from being alone miss the opportunity to develop the depth required for greatness. The problem with many people today is that they avoid solitude. They fear being alone, thinking that it means being disconnected or forgotten. But history shows us that those who truly change the world are not those who always surround themselves with noise and distractions, but those who take the time to step away, to think, to grow, and to prepare. If you want to do something great in life, do not be afraid to be alone. Use that time to read, to learn, to build your mind and spirit. Let solitude be the place where your vision is refined and your strength is developed. Because when the time comes for you to step into your destiny, you will not be unprepared. You will be ready. You will be strong. You will be unstoppable. Many people see solitude as a punishment, something to be avoided at all cost. They associate being alone with rejection, failure, or insignificance. But solitude is not a curse. It is preparation. It is a powerful, transformative process that builds strength, sharpens clarity, and equips a person for greatness. Those who embrace solitude as a time of growth unlock a level of power that few ever attain. In every season of life, there are moments when one must step away, separate from the noise, and focus inward. These moments are not meant to break a person, but to build them. They are not designed to isolate them forever, but to strengthen them so that when they return, they are unshakable. The greatest minds in history did not waste their solitude. They used it as a time of training, of reflection, and of preparation for the future. Imagine an athlete preparing for a championship. They do not train in the middle of a crowd. They do not build their endurance while being constantly distracted. Instead, they wake up before the sun rises. They train in the quiet. They push themselves beyond limits when no one is watching. And when the day of competition arrives, they dominate because they have already done the hard work in private. This is the power of solitude. It is where champions are made. Many people fail in life not because they lack talent, but because they never took the time to develop themselves in their alone moments. They fill every empty space with distractions, social media, television, conversations, never realizing that their solitude is an opportunity to sharpen their skills, to gain wisdom, and to prepare for the next level. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is how they use their alone time. Solitude is not a time to feel sorry for yourself. It is not a time to complain or to wish for companionship. It is a time to build, to learn, to develop the kind of strength that does not depend on others for validation. When a person learns to use their alone time wisely, they emerge with an unstoppable confidence. They no longer seek approval because they know their own worth. They no longer fear standing alone because they have already been tested in the fire of solitude. When the world sees a strong, confident, and powerful individual, they often admire the results but do not realize the process it took to get there. Behind every great leader, every innovator, every trailblazer, there were moments of solitude where they trained their mind, their spirit, and their discipline. Those moments were not wasted. They were the foundation of their success. So the next time you find yourself alone, do not see as a disadvantage. See it as a gift. See it as an opportunity to grow into the person you are created to be. Because when the time comes for you to step into your purpose, you will not come out weak. You will come out ready You will come out powerful. You will come out unstoppable. The power of being alone is one of the greatest secrets of success, yet it is often misunderstood. Many fear solitude, believing it to be a sign of weakness. But history, nature, and wisdom teach us otherwise. The most extraordinary individuals, the visionaries, the leaders, the pioneers, first had to master solitude before they could influence the world. Solitude is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is the refining fire where character is built, where vision is sharpened, and where strength is developed. It is in moments of separation that the greatest breakthroughs happen. The eagle does not fly in flocks, yet it soars higher than any other bird. The most powerful figures in history withdrew from the crowd before stepping into their destiny. And those who dare to embrace solitude gain a level of clarity and focus that sets them apart. If you ever find yourself alone, do not fear it. Use it. Use that time to grow, to develop, to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit. The world does not reward those who seek constant validation. It rewards those who prepare themselves in the quiet so that when the time comes, they are ready. Being alone is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of strength. It is the path to self-mastery, to wisdom, to greatness. And when you embrace it, when you use it wisely, you will not only stand strong, you will rise, you will lead, and you will become unstoppable.